So we asked you what questions you had relating to Christianity. The question I wanted to answer was, why is it so hard for some to believe in the gospel? I have 5 reasons why. Number 1, the gospel is an offensive message to hear. The gospel says that you personally commit wrongdoings. These wrongdoings aren't just little mistakes, but they are serious sins. Just one sin produces and leads to death. The penalty for sin is death, and we all deserve death because of our sin. Our sin also separates us from God, both in this life and the next. It's not just that we die, it's that our death leads us to eternity in hell. Number 2 is total depravity, which in the most simple way is that there is nothing inside of us that desires the goodness of God. The Bible teaches us that humans are born dead in transgression and sin, that we are held captive by a love for sin so that we will not seek God because we love the darkness and do not understand the things of God. Therefore, humans suppress the truth of God in unrighteousness and continue to willfully live in sin. Because we are totally depraved, this sinful lifestyle seems right to men, so they reject the gospel of Christ as foolishness, and their mind is hostile towards God. It does not subject itself to the law of God. It is unable to do so. Number 3, the gospel is countercultural to the belief that any path can get to heaven or the afterlife a person believes in. Truth is seen now as relative. There is no absolute truth. However, most people live in a way that their own personal truth is actually absolute. Over the years, we have heard, "Live your truth," and that has gained momentum as now a core of our culture. Often this truth, when it comes to heaven or the afterlife, is each individual person picking and choosing what sounds good to them so they can live whatever life they want and end up where they want. The overall idea is that anyone can choose how they get to heaven or the afterlife however they want to. The last 2 are the most common reasons that I see for why it's hard for some to believe the gospel. Number 4, some people don't think they are sinners who need to be saved. Most people think of sin as only being major offenses committed that hurt other people, like racism, murder, major theft, or sexual abuse. We compare ourselves to the worst of the worst. And since we aren't as bad people, we are actually good. Romans 3:23 says, "For all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God." We are all in the same boat with sinning. The last one is not why it's hard for some people to believe, but rather just a fact of where people are at in their life. See, number 5 is some people have never heard the gospel. I think we as Christians assume that people that haven't believed the gospel have actively rejected it. We make the assumption that if a person has been to church even once in their life that they've heard the gospel. That is far from true. I think we assume that everyone has heard it before. In my personal experience, I find this to be untrue. Most students on campus that I've met have never heard the gospel. They might have heard of Jesus, but they know nothing about him. And I also think that more people have heard a false gospel than the true gospel. Side note here, I've heard this statistic recently that it takes a person on average of hearing the gospel 7 times before they respond with faith in who Jesus is and what he did. So maybe this is your first time that you've ever heard it, maybe it's the 7th, maybe you've heard it countless times. But the gospel says that all of us sin, and just one of our sins produces and leads to death. The penalty for our sin is death, and we all deserve this death because of our sin. Our sin also separates us from God both in this life and the next. It's not just that we die, it's that our death leads to eternity in hell. But God wasn't okay with this being the outcome of our lives. For his own glory, he sent his son Jesus to live a perfect life. This perfect life was so that he could be the sacrifice for our sins as he was put to death on the cross. 3 days later, Jesus raised from the dead, conquering sin, Satan, and death. By trusting and putting our faith in who Jesus is and what he did, we can have a new life here on this earth and be secured of eternity in heaven. And one day, Jesus will come back to judge the living and the dead, making all things right.